Hanji Vaji Khalsa Vaji Fateh Ravinder Singh joining with all of you for another session of Coach Gurbani. We are still waiting on a few people to join us, but I think we can get going. Um, we commenced a consideration last week of Kabir ji's bavan akhari in Rag Gaudi, Purvi, and I think we we were off to a good start. We had a good discussion, and I just want to carry that forward, but just to recap, uh, if I'm not mistaken, we were able to at least get past the first two lines. And one of the things that we had all agreed to was that we are going to start by actually reading out the lines, trying to get the literal meaning of the words, akhari arth, first before we begin to impose our interpretations. So I just want to use that same guideline today as well. If it is okay with all of you, I think ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਅੱਖਰ ਖਿਰ ਜਾएंगे और ਅੱਖਰ इनमें ना है तक we had more or less completed this discussion. Unless somebody has an objection or wishes to revisit these lines, I'm going to move on to the next two lines. So I'll give you folks a few seconds to interject. Hanji, theek hai ji. So I take that silence to mean that we're all in agreement. So we'll come now to the next two lines. Jai bol. Can somebody volunteer to read them out? Dilpreet Singh ji, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਕਿਰਪਾ?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਜਹਾਂ ਬੋਲ ਤਹ ਅਛਰ ਆਵਾ ਜਹ ਅਬੋਲ ਤਹ ਮਨ ਨਾ ਰਹਾਵਾ ਬੋਲ ਅਬੋਲ ਮਦ ਹੈ ਸੋਈ जस ओह है तस लखै न कोई। हाँ जी।
Do you want to take a stab with the line by line, word by word? So let's start with जह बोल.
हाँ जी। So जहाँ बोल तह अक्षर आवा. I take this that whatever we say that can be represented by words. So whatever we know or the way of communication is words. And that is how I take this. That words are how we communicate, or what, because literal meaning is say that what we say, that is where the will come. So this words or this language is another way of communication. And jah abol man na rahawa. So now there is something which can only be experienced, and then what can be experienced that cannot be represented by anything, that can only be experienced. That's how I was taking this. And then it goes on that bol abol mad hai soi, because in first we are talking about that what can be represented or what can be communicated by words, and then we are saying that there is something which can only be experienced and cannot be talked or communicated. But then it is saying that bol a bol, that is what bol is, what we can say and communicate. A bol is what we can only experience. Bol a bol mad hai soi jas oh tah lakhi na koi, that the way he is nobody can explain that. So here in Japji Sahib also we discussed that Nanak vada akhiye ape jane aap. And then there is very good stanza which I was thinking that it will fit in here. That in Japji Sahib also there was another thing, that bahta kahiye bahta hoye. So Antana Sifti Kahana Antana Karane Dena, it goes on. So when we say bahta kahiye bahta hoye, that means it says that there is no way you can define him or it can be contained in words. So अंत कारण केते बिलाए ताकि अंत न पाए जाए, यही अंत न जाने कोई, बहुता कहिए बहुता होए. So I think it is representing the same thing, that the way he is that there is no way we can represent him. And then in Japji Sahib, we have also discussed it in details that why Guru Nanak has not put the finite definition. So I think Kabir Sahib is also going towards the same thought process that it cannot be confined, or we cannot put a finite definition, or it is not something which can be explained. And that is where again the riddle concept is coming, because riddles are some things which you will solve and you will get it, but it is hard to explain to others because everyone has to solve the riddle. You cannot make them solve it, otherwise there is no point in those riddles. Thank you ji.
हाँ जी ठीक है जी हरविंदर सिंह जी who all do we have? I know Paramjeet Singh ji is here.
Anji, I think we only have Pratik Virchi and then Eileen and Gurjit Virchi joined.
Are they here or are they going to join?
They're going to join.
They will be joining. Okay. All right. So let me reach out to Virji. Paramjeet Singh, Virji, I'm going to reach out to you to perhaps amplify or add to what Dilpreet has suggested to us, and then we'll take it from there. Hanji.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਦਲਪੀਤ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ and then my phone came in, so part of that I didn't hear,
ਹਾਂਜੀ
but in the beginning ਜੋ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ what he was talking about, one thing is जहाँ बोलते हैं अक्षर आवा हो, the word Dalpreet Singh ji used was the thing which we experience cannot put into words. I think it is more than that. The whole when I listened last week and this week, I think what Kabir Sahib is taking a flight into. Of course, this flight is of the intuition, a very abstract reality, and it's not only the experience, but the very where the word I'm trying to use, our intuition can take us to such a level that we cannot express that in any ways. It's not the experience. Sometimes experience we can say about our experience, we can put into words, but I think Kabir Sahib is talking about much higher than the experience, a level of abstraction he is talking about, which we can only intuitively think about that, but there's no such a confounding thing. Maybe you can call experience, maybe it is experience. But
so, if I may stop you,
Mhm.
I picked up on a couple of words that you used. You used we can intuitively think. I think that might be a contradiction because intuition goes past thought. Uh, so you're either in the intuitive realm or you're in the thought realm. So
Mhm.
I want to make a suggestion here. I
Mhm.
think I get the sense of where you're going. May I suggest this to the people on the phone here? Okay, the way I would like to sort of suggest to you to look at this is as Rana Viji is suggesting here that Kabir ji is perhaps laying out for us the multiple levels of reality around us. Because if you look at the first couple of lines, he's basically saying bavan achara lok tera. What is being suggested, as I can sort of understand it, is that all creation, involves sound of some sort, whether it's speech, whether it is any other. Speech is a little more refined sound and has some context and rules around it. But Bhavan Achar Lok Tarab, and then in the next two lines, he's saying pretty much the same thing. Jahan bol ta achar awa, meaning wherever there is speech or wherever there is sound. I would suggest to Dilpreet that I would broaden that instead of saying communication, but I would say wherever there is sound, there is, the world. There is a world where there is sound. Uh, so I would like to get your view on, because he's then suggesting ja a bowl, and then even in the previous two lines, he makes a similar suggestion. So I would like to hear from you that he's perhaps suggesting to us that reality is multidimensional, that we are existing at the level of speech and language. However, there is also a realm beyond speech and language, which is ineffable, indescribable. Hanji Virji.
Yes, I think you just uh, what I was trying to say was very similar thing, but I think I totally agree with you that the reality Kabir Saab is trying to, as you said, is very nicely the multi-dimensional reality around us, and the threshold up to which we can go, up to which our intellect can take.
Yes.
We can only express the words, only those things where our intellect can take us. But he is talking about the world, our bodies of areas, they're still out there, they're beyond our intellect.
Yes.
And that is the word the Kabir Sahib is saying, for that there's no word because it's beyond our intellect. But there is a lot of things out there. If we could say that we know everything about the universe or reality, no, only the things which have been expressed, which have been told, which have been communicated to us through words is known to us. But this whole realm outside of this one, which is beyond our intellect. I think that is what Gurpreet Singh ji was saying, experience. But what I'm saying is that experience, even experience doesn't go there because it's beyond our intellect. We can experience, we can think about that. That is my interpretation of that.
Haji. Haji Dilpreet Singh ji, do you want to respond to some of that?
No, I think again the message is the same, but also I was looking at it as our Mool Mantra is there. It sets a context of the multidimensional Vaheguru, or it explains what Guru Nanak's Vaheguru or God or his East is. So I think the same way when I was looking at this first 6 stanzas, so Kabir Sahib is also trying to say the similar, or set a similar stage. He is softening the ground so that he is bringing us to an understanding that he is talking about a creator who is in the creation, but as the creation is destroyable, he will not be destroyed with the creation, he will still exist outside of the creation also. Like Aad Sach, Jugad Sach, Hai Bhi Sach, and Nanak Hosi Bhi Sach. So, as Guruji is establishing the context first, so the same way Kabir Sahib is also establishing a similar context, and he is preparing our brain that this is the context, or he is setting up the stage, and then on that he is building this bavan akhari. So I think we are saying the same things in different
No,
words.
I want to be able to at least all of us to converge as far as possible on a common understanding. So would it be fair then to say that in these 4 lines that we have considered so far, that Kabir ji is essentially telling us that creation, the world of creation that we see around us, is simply one dimension of reality. It is not all of reality. That there is a dimension to reality that is that our intellect, as Paramjit Ranjanaji is saying, cannot grasp, because language is a function of intellect. It's a function of this time-space dimension that we live in. So would it be fair to say then that creation is simply one dimension of a much larger reality?
Yes, I just want to add to that. Our reality, what we look is a 3-dimensional thing. It's not a 1-dimensional thing.
But that's the reality we are in.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just coming to that.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is because we can only comprehend 3-dimensional reality. But the reality over here, what Kabir Sahib is saying and what Mool Mantra was saying, I will come back to Mool Mantra in a second, it could be 10 dimensions, 20 dimensions, 100 dimensions, infinite dimensions.
Yeah.
That reality we cannot comprehend because of my training in mathematical area, because there's a area called topological spaces. You can just start building things which are not only 3-dimensional, multi-dimensional. What Kabir Sahib is saying, and that's what I imagine, that we cannot comprehend, as you pointed out, multi-dimensional reality, but we can only go up to three-dimensional reality, which we can comprehend and see. Coming back to movement for a second, and that was exchange with my daughter, and she was doing some research, and she was discussing this thing about the movement with me, and we were just debating, and my point was the last word is Guru Prasad, Guru Sahib said it. That is through the Gyan as we grasp it over time, over our lifetime. I don't know how many lives it will take. But what Guru Sahib has given us a picture of that multidimensional reality, he has given only 7 pillars there. Nirpo, Nirvair, Kalmur. And he said, okay, based on these 7 pillars, develop the reality, but it will become clearer and clearer as you understand Guru Gyan, which is going to follow. That's the way I interpret Murmantar, and we had a long debate on that. I said, this is what Guru Sahib is trying to say. He said that's only one God, but one reality. But the reality, the foundational pillars are these 7. And try to imagine whatever you want to imagine. You cannot comprehend it, but it will become clearer and clearer, but you will never get to that multi-dimensional reality because our intellect is not there to comprehend that.
Hanji.
That's my thought.
Hanji, no, thank you. So essentially, you see, we also shouldn't lose sight of what the objective here is. I mean, what are these mystics and seers and gurus? What exactly are they trying to tell us? And when they are talking to us about realities in this manner, as Kabirji is right now addressing us, I think it is important for us to constantly keep in mind what exactly is their objective. And it seems to me, and I would like to get your opinion on this, is that it seems to me that at the end of the day, what they're saying is, okay, guys, you're living in a very limited, constrained, three-dimensional world. However, there are possibilities that exist that you're not even aware of. And so I see this more as an invitation to us to actually join them because they have seen or at least glimpsed, and I don't mean physically perhaps, but they have a sense of this other domain. Otherwise, they would not be inviting us to join us on that journey. Would you agree, Dilpreet Singh ji?
Hanji, I think in next down the lines, I think Kabir Sahib is saying that yes, I found him or I realized him, and then he's also explaining that how I realized him. I think we'll get there.
ठीक है जी. Anybody else on the line now, or is it just
Gurjeet Veer ji joined us.
अच्छा, ठीक है जी. हाँ जी, Gurjeet Singh Veer ji, I don't know how long you've been on the line. Have you been able to follow some of the discussion so far? Are you in a position to comment on what we are talking about?
I just joined in about 10 minutes ago. So, are we doing this? I think we are on the Pauri number 2.
Yeah.
जहाँ बोलते हैं अक्षर आवा, जह बोलते हैं मन न रहावा. So, as per my understanding, because whatever is written, I've also put it on the blog, is like a Nanak Hukum hai je bujhe. Bowl is only limited, but there is so much attached to the bowl which we need to comprehend through our mind. So the mind has to be involved. The whole purpose of writing Gurbani is to involve mind. If you want to stabilize your mind, bring him back to his hirda, it needs to do its work. So, like everywhere, even you start reading Socha Sochna Ho Bhai, it's just a bowl, but what is attached with it has to be comprehended from within the Gurbani. Then only we'll get some sort of that why this statement was said. So this is what I read it as, that the bowl is there, but merely reading a text give you nothing. You have to attain mukti, for which you have to concentrate on the bowl. Like I was just reading one of his tests. He says, "So gur karo jo bahar na karna." This is what Kabir ji says. Because Kabir ji has to go through a tedious exercise of finding firstly one Guru as Ramanan, then he has to reject him, then he has to leave Kashi, go to Maghar, get the reality from Maghar, and then come back and tell us. So he has only written this statement, but the hidden part is that He's trying to tell us something beyond that. So a bol is always depending upon our experience, how much we understand Gurbani, and how we utilize this mind through wisdom to connecting back to, as he will say in the next Pauri, Allah. So we have to connect back to Allah. So that's the whole thing. If the next two lines says, for my understanding, bol bol mad hai soe. Still, he's not in the text, but he's basically in your grasp. How much you have grasped? Because just oh hai, tas lakhe na koi. There is nothing in this world to be compared to. That's why we have to Naam give idea about himself, but you still can't really explain. That's why the whole Gurbani is nothing but Naam, just to give you a rough sketch how your spirit is and how the Chetan is. So, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Thank you, Virji. So, in these two lines, there is a thought that catches my attention that I want to put out there. I see that Eileen has joined us. So Eileen, we are basically concentrating on the next two lines, 42, Jahan bolta acha awa, Jahan abol, man na rahawa. So the thought that I'm putting out there, perhaps you can comment, is bol abol mad hai soi. This caught my attention. Because what it is suggesting is bol is one end of the spectrum, almost, or one pole, if you will. A bol seems to be the other end, because he's talking about a mud, which is the middle, and he's saying that hasoi, and this is referring obviously to the transcendent or the one or whatever you want to call it, and it's saying that a bol mud hasoi, that it sits in the middle. It'd be interesting to dwell a little bit on what is that middle, because it is not sitting in a bowl, but it's sitting between bowl and a bowl. Mad has soi. Do you want to comment on that, Eileen?
I don't see her online yet.
Oh, I thought I saw her flash. Okay. Dilpreet, do you want to pick up on that thought? Because it's saying very clearly, a bowl, mad has soi. So I'd like to sort of dwell a little bit on what is that mud.
Right, you have make me think about it. But before that, what I was getting out of is that mud means that he is also there. The literal meaning may be middle, but here I think in the poetry it is that he is the bowl what can be explained, and he is the also that what cannot be explained. So that Jahe bolta man na rahavam, that there are some things which are beyond our explanation, but he is in both places. We cannot confine him to what we can explain. He is outside of that too. I think that's how I was saying that Ehe ant na jane koi bahta kahiye bahta hoye, so that we cannot comprehend or completely define.
Okay, so you're not reading mud as being the middle, but being in.
I will agree. I think I was thinking along the same lines. Ravinderji, can I continue?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we need to ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪੰਕਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਖੁਲਾਸਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ mud to anyone could mean middle.
No, yeah, exactly. The way I was thinking was, before we said that there's the multi-dimensional reality, and our comprehension can take us only to certain level, but what he is saying is a kalpurk, soy, whatever you want to say him, a kalpurk is pervasive in those areas too where we are not able to comprehend. So this is what mud is, not the center of that. It is, mud is that he is pervasive, is prevalent in all areas. And Gurbani, it says, Kalpurk, he is har jagah, he is kankan jo vasta pe aega. Gurbani says many times.
But how do you then read the following line because it's saying jas o hai, meaning jithe o hai. At least that's how I understand this line. Tas lakhe na koi. That means he's again somewhere that you cannot describe. So how do you sort of bring these two lines together? If you had to explain them to someone like
जसो
me.
है हाँ जी भाजी जसो है मतलब जेहा जाओ है इट्स नॉट
नहीं,
जिथे
it's
वो है
also there are people who have translated that as jithe o hai.
because they don't know उन्होंने नहीं
Well,
पता एंटिटी की है
no. Let's not. No. Hang on. I am quoting Gyani Harbans Singh here, and let's not, categorically call people wrong because there is no wrong or right in a discussion of this nature. So let's not go there. What I'm saying, so if you have a better explanation, we'd like to hear it. All I'm putting out there
हाँ
as the
जी हाँ
moderator. Let's not categorically dismiss anybody's view. If Gyani Harbans Singh says कि वो जिथे वो है, or if Sahib Singh says something, let's talk about it.
ये जेहा जाओ है whatever he is like that is it's your mool then let's not go into that it is Vaheguru it's referring to that akhar which he started and he's building on akhar
Yeah.
the akhar who is within us there is nothing in this visible world to be compared to jeha jao hai there is nothing you can compare it to you can only give a sort of hint and within that hint we have to discover what he will be like but still until we see him there's no real explanation of it
So then, Hanji, somebody else?
Yes. I think that it's nothing. I don't think even Dr. Harban Singh or Gyani Harban Singh is saying something which we can say is wrong. What he is saying.
No. I just want to say I want to stay away from these categorical statements about anyone.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just taking that position. Even we say Jitti O have. I think what we are trying to say is one thing we cannot comprehend कित्ती हैगा बोल जितनी भी हैगा वो कहते हैं जितनी भी हैगा wherever he is we cannot describe him whether it's not he is only there which we can comprehend because we can comprehend जितने भी वो है whether jeho भी है doesn't make any difference that what is the limitation of our intellect to explain him beyond karna onda is not possible for us that's the way I thought
and I appreciate it. Dilpreet, one last thought, and then I'd like to summarize this.
Hanji.
Do you have any?
I would like to ask you that what is the interpretation if we say think that mud is middle, then how can we justify that middle? Do you have any thought on that?
No, I mean, I frankly have no real thought. I mean, I'm sitting here asking you guys questions so that I can learn. But I am just putting questions out there. That's my job. But based on what I'm hearing from Gurjeet Singh Virji, from Paramjit Singh Ji, and you, I think we can sum up these lines by saying that bol abol mad hai soi. Even if you take it as the middle is always connected to both sides. So you can always read this to mean that he's everywhere, right? And then, just so hai tas rakhe na koi, as Gurjeet Singh Virji said, hai sab jagah, but he's nothing like what you can see. So he may prevail all creation and beyond. He may be transcending creation, but he's ineffable, meaning indescribable. That's how I would take these lines.
Right. Because why I asked you that was that one of my colleagues asked me that he saw that khanda in my vehicle and he asked me what does this mean or what is it representing? And then the way I explained him the khanda is that the middle one is saying that creator has created this creation and it is existing because it is supported by him. So now I was trying to see that bol and abol, all this is existing Because he is supporting mud means that he is in the middle supporting the both.
The way I see it is that he's the balance.
Right, he is the balance, or
Yeah.
he is keeping them in existence because he is in the middle of it, because that way
Yeah.
also we can see.
Yeah. So I just want to sort of bring out some of the nuances that
Yeah,
we can derive from these words.
just
Yes.
one point here. Just
Uh,
it's very good. I enjoy. I'm enjoying listening to. One thought comes as we are talking about.
Hanji.
When we say this is the middle of that, what we are trying to do is we are bounding the unbound part, which we said multidimensional. Nobody, we sub say nobody has the sense of how large that reality is. Even the reality, what we know is unbounded. When you put in the middle, that center of that one, you are effectively what we are saying that yes, the second part is equivalent to what we know where we can reach. And I will challenge that because nobody knows that, and that's what could be sort of trying to say that. So it cannot be the center of that. It is more like a pervasive wherever we imagine he is there. That's
Haji, Nini, you make a very good point, because by affixing a center, a balance, actually we have to be careful. A balance doesn't necessarily mean a center in that sense. It simply means holding things together, right? It's keeping them in some sort of order, is how I'm looking at it. But you make a very good point. We cannot think in terms of centers, because that would that would limit and bound something that is not bounded. But I think we've had a very
So
good
I think
discussion. Haji.
we have to take mad as in between. It's not in the center, and literally it means center.
Hmm.
Ad Purna, Mad Purna. We have a lot of shabas like that.
Haji.
It stays in between. But I
Haji.
may tell you, this is about Brahma who is in three loks. But I'm hearing people are discussing about Hukam here. It's not Hukum. It's the one sitting inside you. The whole story is about that Brahm, because man has to join with him. See, you will understand this one better. This is the problem in this whole sort of that this Pauri is better explained in the next one. Here we are thinking might be Hukum, who is in the three loks.
You're cutting off.
This is what we need to connect to him.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't hear
Yeah,
Gurjeet Singh Virji. He got cut off repeatedly.
Okay.
But I think what he's saying is, if I picked up a few words, that this is really about the Puran Brahm, as he refers to, which is really about us trying to connect with the Par Brahm. Did I get you
No,
right?
this is about the Brahm. Sorry, this is about the Brahm. We need to connect him to become Puran Brahm.
Puran Brahm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. No, I'm having.
He's not within the speech. He's not in the text, but he's he's something beyond text, which we need to comprehend. Bujna.
So I could, if I may take what you're saying. I think before you came, Gurjeet Singh Virji, we were talking about multiple dimensions to reality. And to take what you have just said, we are a part of reality. So one could argue that there are dimensions to us that are also hidden. You know, we have a subconscious that we can't see, or an unconscious, and there are multiple dimensions. So it kind of doesn't, so it makes just as much sense for you to suggest what you are, that there are hidden dimensions within myself that I need to connect to in order to grasp reality in a different sort of way, not with the intellect.
But yeah, we are a part of macro, that's it.
Yeah.
So if we mind ourselves, we are automatically part of the whole consciousness.
Yes. So as above, so below. Do Brahmande, soi Pinde. We have the same dimensions running through us.
Yeah, but the Brahm is in the Pind. That's the problem. The Brahman, the Brahm has come in your body now.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And that's what we are trying to connect through our man.
Right. So does anybody want to add to this? I think we've had a good discussion around this. I want to not rush things, because I think when we stop and reflect and allow different viewpoints, we all gain. I think we will go back to these lines individually and see them very differently rather than rushing through the bavan akhari. Would you all agree?
Yes, that's a good idea.
No, that's
Okay.
very good, Ji. Yeah, that's very nice.
Okay, very good then. So I think ਇਹ ਦੋ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਤਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਲਈਆਂ ਨੇ. Has Eileen joined us, Harvinder?
Not yet. I think she was
Okay.
trying to, and she's having the connection issue.
ठीक है. All right. No, I have to be careful about my Punjabi. I don't want to sort of
You're
lapse
fine.
into Punjabi. So until she comes, I'll be a little more free. So we can move on to the next two lines then. Allah Allah. कौन पढ़ेगा जी दो काम? परमजीत सिंह राणा जी भाई जी तुसी करोगे कृपा?
हाँ जी, sure. अल्लाह लाहो तो क्या कहो ता को उपकार भटक बीज में रव रहो जाको तीन लोक विस्तार
थोड़ा जिहा स्पष्ट भी कर दियो अखरी अर्थ स्पष्ट कर दियो थोड़े जिस तरह तुसी समझ रहे हो ना so like Allah laho I think it says कि जे मनु अल्लाह मिल भी जाए
what the way I'm thinking about that is if I find that Kalpurak Allah, whatever it is, that I would not be able to explain him because that we are talking about the reality, which is multi-dimensional reality. We don't have any words to explain that. I think the Guru Sahib Kabir Ji is trying to reiterate what he said before, that even if I see him, even I'm able to comprehend him, there's no way for me to explain because I don't have anything, any words or any sounds, any speech to explain how he is, who he is.
Right.
That's the way I thought the line.
ते आगे
भटक बीच में रब रहो जाको तीन लोक विस्तार. Again, I'm reading from here. What I learned was कि it's just like both the दरख्त की गल हो रही है. I think that tree they are talking about. When you look at that तीन लोक, if you look at the universe, that universe has come out of him just like a tree, board the tree, I don't know what you say in English, that tree, that sprouts out of his little seed. That is what he is trying to say, that the whole creation has come out of him. He is the creator of all that, and that we know that.
ठीक है जी, thank you. Dilpreet Singh, do you want to give us your thoughts?
Hanji, so this is one thought, that even if I find him, I will not be able to explain him. I think that is the literal meaning. But I also think that there is a concept here, or the concept, there was a prevailing concept at that time, or even today, that people were going to jungle, Siddhs were out there doing Siddhis, and they left their families, and they were trying to find the creator or God or whatever they called. And in Guru Nanak's world also, he is saying there is no separation. There is nothing, he is not separated from us. So I am also alluding towards the similar message that like Sagal Banaspat Meh Basantar, Sagal Doodh Meh Kiya, Unch Neech Meh Jyot Samani, Kat Kat Madho Jiya. So again, I think in the first two lines, Kabir Sahib is saying that even if I find him, then there is no benefit. And then he's saying that I think he's giving us the message that don't try to find him. He is not separated from you. And in the next line, he is saying that Batak Bij Mehrav Reho Jako Teen Lok Vistara. So again, Asan Loy Loy Pandar, he is everywhere and the creator is in the creation. So we cannot separate him, or we cannot find him separated out of us, or there is no way you can draw a line that this is he and this is me. I think he is alluding towards that concept.
ठीक है जी, thank you. हाँ जी, गुरजीत सिंह वीर जी, please.
हाँ जी वीर जी, ये पहला था अल्लाह, ये एड़े तो उपदेश है, शुरू हो गया उपदेश बावन अखरी दा पहला लेटर
but ਵੀਰ ਜੀ if I can ask you, I think ਇਹ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਲਿਪੀ ਦੇ 52 ਅੱਖਰ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕੱਕੇ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਐੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ।
ਐੜਾ ਆ ਗਿਆ। ਸੋ ਕਿਦੋਂ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਆਏਗਾ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਿਸੀਵ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਦਾ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਅੱਖਰ ਆ ਈ ਊ ਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਹੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕੰਮ, ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਵੀ ਊੜਾ ਅੱਖਰ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਐੜਾ ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਹੈ।
So Dilpreet, I think what Veerji is saying is true, because oo to shuru hundiyan ne sounds, because Veerji is not talking simply about letters, he's talking about sounds, I think, of a language. Hanji Veerji, Gurjeet Singh Veerji, you're cutting off too frequently. You there?
I think he's dropped off. Let me try to connect him again.
Okay. So, so I think the fact is that Dilpreet, if you're there, and my sense is that we are really talking about sounds.
Okay.
So I think the sounds in even the Hindi padhi si the to padhi si.
No, that is
I'm back.
Anji, you're back. Anji, did you get Dilpreet's? Did you hear Dilpreet's question to you?
No.
Because he was saying कि हिंदी लिपि दे ना इस लिपि च कक्के तो शुरू ਹੁੰਦਾ है का ख ग।
नहीं ਉਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਇਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਨੈਸੈਸਰੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਮੂਲ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ when you start with the Brahm, the first ever letter you can associate Brahm with is Ada, and it is Allah. The order may be side down. It's you don't think that the whole order in all of the lipi, all of these bavan akharis and is truly what they follow. They are following an order of Brahm Gyan. That's how they can best explain it to us. So he started with an Ada, which is Allah.
I mean, he chose to start with Allah. It could have been something else.
Any other letter. So Ada is nothing but a name for just hai, oh, that's the same. The akhar, they all have come under this Ada now. And he says, because this is what he's reading first. This is not what he's experiencing yet. This is what he's reading from a Granth in Maghar. That's from where he got all the knowledge, which he says himself. Kabir has basically his biography written himself. He has written it. So he says, Allah lahun to kya lahun? Kya kahun? If I'm attaching myself to Allah, what I'm going to tell to people? Because Roop na rekh na rang kich tre gun te prabh pin. What I'm going to explain about a thing which has got these dimensions, na Roop, na rang, na rekh, na gun. Then he's trying to say, I could only explain what his upkars, his virtues are. So we have to realize him through his virtues. That's what he's trying to teach us here. Allah lahon to kya kahun? Because if I'm attached to him, I have to tell you something. I could not explain his face, his feet, or anything. I could only tell you that this is in this world. So that's the way he has chosen. Kaho tako upkar. But so as you see a seed of batak bean, he has taken a particular example because this fig, barota is like a fig. So it's the smallest seed and the biggest tree. Comparison which you could do in this world, with the smallest tree giving rise to a smallest seed giving rise to a biggest tree. So he has picked up that example that the Brahm is in us like a whole fig tree is within a seed. And he again says, Jako teen lok vistar. But until that seed actually grows and becomes, it is still the story is in these three loks, is either in Treta or either in Dwapar or in Kalyu. So he's trying to explain the Brahm through an extreme example of comparing a seed which will germinate And Gurbani has normally taken the stand of plant world to explain Brahm. There are a lot of examples through which we try to explain him, because still it is not explainable. So that's what I have understood.
Hanji, I just have a slightly different take that I want to put out there, especially around the word upkar, because we started out by saying that this multidimensional reality was not fully graspable, so it was not fully comprehensible. It was ineffable, in other words. And it seems to me that if I were to try and understand these lines, Allah laho to kya kaho, kaho tak ko upkar, it might make a little more sense to read this as saying that it is not going to benefit anyone. It is not going to profit anyone if I were to try and explain it, but that he does offer an example of a seed that flowers into a tree. I think that perhaps at least is more satisfying to me. I don't know what the others think. Dilpreet, what do you think?
What I think is that in the previous line, I think Kabir Sahib has already set the context that jas oh hai, tas lakhe na koi, that the way he is, you cannot define him and nobody can do that. And I think he is dwelling on the same thought, and he is saying that even if I find him, then I cannot explain him. And even if I explain him, it will be of no use to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is something that you can only, like, again it is the going back to the whole riddle concept that bujjan wadi gall a, kyunki jehdi bujharat hai na wo apne aap hi points lab ke wo riddle nu solve karna penda. So if you solve the riddle for me, then it is not a riddle and then it is of no use.
Because it's not your riddle.
Right.
I tend to agree with you, because eventually it is something that each one of us has to engage in.
Right.
And nobody can really do it for us. But anyhow, let me ask Paramjeet Singh Virji what he
If
thinks.
I can say one more thing, right?
Hanji, sorry.
See this, when you are trying to comprehend something which cannot be comprehended, or you are trying to create our own views, even if we are creating the views, but the image which you will be creating in your mind and which I am creating will depend on lot of factors, and it will never be same, it will be little different.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why there is no way we can agree on the same image, because we come from a different background and we have different lenses and different understanding, and you have read, knowledge base is different. Even if we create a same image, it will not be understandable to both of us because we are not on the same platform.
Okay, so then let me play devil's advocate here. Let me take Harvinder's point of view, just saying that it's not enough. Because if it cannot be explained, then why would we have huge texts trying to explain this to us? Why would Kabirji even bother putting this down on paper?
No, it is, we have to make our understanding and our image, and it will be little bit different, but there will be lot of similarities.
So in other words, it can be explained to a point.
To a point, and there will be similarities, and the outcomes of the same thing, it will be, as we talk about this framework and other things, the hukam, the outcome and the actions and the returns, we will agree on those things.
Okay. All right, let me ask Paranjeet Singh Ji, because we have about a couple of minutes left.
Okay, I'll wrap it up then. Yes. My thinking is, even Guru Nanak Sahib has said that he is not able to explain what the Almighty is. Many times he said that, lekha hoye to likhiye. Onda lekha hi nahi likha janda, how can we understand him? And coming back to this question over here, I have question and also the answer for that. Not, I wouldn't say question, the question, and there's, I'm going to explain my thought on this one. What I understand, what is being said here is that reality, whether you have different picture, as Gurpreet ji were saying that his image could be different, my image could be different. The point is that we cannot, Kabir Sahib says, we cannot get to that multidimensional reality. And even if we get to that, I'm not able to explain it. That's my understanding. But the question comes in my mind that if we are not able to, Kabir Sahib cannot get to that reality, then why we are trying to do that one through Gurbani? Is not what we are trying to do that we have to connect with him when we don't know what that reality is. So that was the question in my mind. Uh, that's where I want to stop here. My thought.
Hanjini, thank you. I appreciate your question. We only have about a minute, but I would just leave you with this thought, and then maybe when we converge next, it seems to me that this is really a journey into the unknown, and that's the invitation. I mean, I don't think that there is any question that we have to make that journey. That much is clear enough,
Right.
because that is very foundational, right? That is the whole point of doing this. That journey has to happen, and it's a journey into the unknown because we don't know what we are getting into, because it can't be described. But that's all I would sort of leave you with. We can pick on this the next time. Harvinder, can you make a note? We'll start with this particular discussion then.
हाँ जी जरूर थैंक यू
ठीक है
जी
जी. So I have 10 o'clock on my watch and I have a hard stop, but I appreciate all the thoughts and I think we had a wonderful discussion. I thank each one of you for coming on and participating. I'm sure that we are all taking back something, as I certainly am, and hope to see you next week again. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji.